John Wayne's emotional night on Johnny Carson. The studio lights were bright that night, but somehow, when John Wayne walked onto the stage of The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson, the room seemed to grow quiet. America knew him as the Duke, the tall, fearless cowboy who never seemed afraid of anything. For decades, he had ridden across movie screens, facing outlaws, battles, and danger with that unmistakable confidence. But that evening, there was something different in his eyes. Johnny Carson greeted him with his familiar smile, and the audience applauded loudly. Wayne smiled back, joked with Carson, and for a while, everything felt like the old days. Then Carson asked a simple question. "Duke, after everything you've accomplished, what matters most to you now?" Wayne paused. The smile on his face slowly faded. For a moment, he wasn't the legendary cowboy. He was simply an aging man thinking about the years that had disappeared behind him. He spoke about his family, about friends he had lost, about the people who had stood beside him before fame, before Hollywood, before millions knew his name. Then he said something that made the laughter disappear. "You know, Johnny, when you get to a certain age, you stop counting the years ahead of you. You start remembering the ones behind you." The audience became completely silent. Wayne looked down for a moment. He remembered the faces of people who were no longer there. Old friends, fellow actors, people who had shared long nights on film sets and long journeys through life. He remembered being young and believing there would always be another tomorrow. But time had taught him something different. Tomorrow was never promised. Carson listened without interrupting. Then Wayne looked toward the audience and spoke softly about the importance of telling people you love them while you still have the chance. His voice carried the weight of a lifetime. He didn't need a dramatic speech. He didn't need a movie script. He simply spoke as a man who had lived long enough to understand that fame disappears, money disappears, applause eventually fades, but love and memories remain. Carson finally tried to lighten the mood with a joke. Wayne smiled. The audience laughed. But something had changed. For those few minutes, America wasn't watching the Duke. They were watching John Wayne. A father, a friend, an aging man who understood that even the strongest heroes eventually have to face the one enemy nobody can defeat: time. As the conversation ended, Carson thanked him. Wayne stood slowly. The audience rose with him and gave him a tremendous ovation. He looked out over the crowd. For a few seconds, he simply stood there. Then he gave that familiar Duke Wayne smile. The same smile millions had seen in theaters. But this time, it carried something deeper. Gratitude. And perhaps a little sadness. He raised his hand in farewell. The applause continued. And as he walked away from Carson's desk, the audience watched the legend disappear behind the curtain. John Wayne had spent his life playing heroes. But that night, he reminded everyone that the most powerful story isn't about a cowboy who never gets hurt. It's about a human being who knows life is temporary and chooses to be grateful for every moment. The cameras kept rolling. The lights stayed bright. Johnny Carson returned to his desk. But for those who witnessed that quiet moment, something remained long after the applause ended. The Duke had left the stage. But John Wayne's words stayed behind. Because sometimes, the saddest goodbye isn't the one we hear. It's the one we realize only later was coming.